Hey guys, so right now we are going to talk about how to make some adjustments to your overall thing, and also how to add boxes as well. So what we're going to do first is add this green box right here. So to do that, what I did is I come over to my layers, all right? I went and I made an empty layer, all right? So on here you'll have an empty layer. I'm gonna do a box, all right? So a shape down here, the shape tool. But I want it to be a specific color. So I'm gonna use my eyedropper tool, all right? And I'm literally going to come in here and just like pick a color from my actual photo, and then that makes it very clearly like part of the same image, you know, like it automatically is going to match because I got the a color from that photo. So that's good. Now the shape for some reason takes it from the background, so I'm going to switch this so the color isn't back, and I'm going to go grab my shape tool. I'm going to do a rectangle. You could do any other, right? And you can do different opacities here, right? As well. You can also do a soft sort of, you can have a stroke on it. So I would make a rectangle, right? And then I would bring it down in my layers and arrange, right? So there we have it. Looks good. And then you're going to scale and arrange these like so. So again, that was if I select with my arrange tool, you can, of course, scale, right, flip, and rotate and stuff like that. Cool. So after that, we need to talk about adjustments. So the most important thing is that things look like they belong together, all right? So naturally, when photos are taken in different sort of circumstances, they're gonna look a little like the light is different because they were taken in different lighting circumstances. So we want them to look like they're in the same room together, all right? So a couple things that I did. First of all, I'm going to click on my gloves. One thing that I did is I noticed that the tools, that they were a little fuzzy looking. So I came over here to my adjustment tools over here. So some things that you could do. You could dodge and burn, which makes things either lighter or darker. All right, that's a permanent change. You could sponge color, so you could make things really bright, or you could desaturate or make them black and white in specific areas, okay? So this is all sort of like painted on. You can, those are the two big ones. Oh no, over here. So we have sharpen, blur, and smudge. That's the one that I used here. So I clicked on this little teardrop and I went to sharpen, all right? And I just sharpened up the image here so that I could see a little bit, and you can see it just like ups the contrast between lines, right? So that it looked a little sharper, all right? So those are some things to play with. Next up, let's look at the adjustments layers. So I'm gonna go first to my hand cream here, and I'm going to my adjustments. So there's a couple that I like you guys to know about first and foremost. The first one is the levels. It is very important. So let's click on levels. Curves and levels are very similar, but levels is the more simple, all right? So here's what it does. It adjusts the light levels, all right? In this little graph, we see all of the sort of where the pixels are. So all of the different colors are on this graph. We have three sliders. We have the blacks, the grays, and the highlights. So shadows, midtones, and highlights. The first thing that we can do is just go ahead and move these until the blacks is at the bottom of where the pixels are. So that what that did, if you notice, is it just darkened up the darks just that little bit. And if I go even further, you can see that the darks are getting darker, right? That's the extreme. But we just move it to sort of the bottom of the hill here. Same thing with the lights. I'm just going to move the lights down, all right, till it's sort of like at the bottom of the toe of the mountain here, all right? So that's going to increase the contrast, and you can see, right, if I hit compare down here, you can see the difference. Just sharpens it up, makes it a little bit crisper. And I can also sort of play with the midtones, where the midtones lie. So you can see this puts the midtones more into the dark area, this darkens them up, all right? So there you have it. I'm just going to find a nice happy medium at about 1. All right, so you can see before, after, before, after. Lovely. So that's levels. Excellent. I'm going to apply that. Cool. Next up, we are going to talk about colors, all right? And the most important one that we're going to talk about is the hue and saturation, okay? So color has many attributes to it. It has the hue, which is the actual color. It has vibrancy, right? Which is like the amount of color, and that sort of relates to saturation. And then it also has the lightness or darkness, all right? So let's first talk hue. So for instance, if I wanted to change the color of this whole thing, I could absolutely do that. So you like, for instance, the different, the different varieties of this hand cream. We could do that here. Not what I want, so to reset that, I just come up to here and hit reset, where it says hue, right, and it will reset it. What I do want to do is I want to up the saturation, because if you look at the background photos, everything is super saturated because they're flowers, right? There's a lot of intensity of color there. So to make this feel like it is fitting in, I'm going to play with the saturation. So I'm going to go ahead and bump the saturation. So you can see if I pull this up all the way, it's going to look almost neon. Not what I want. If I bring it down all the way, it's going to desaturate it or take away, sponge away all the color. So it's going to look black and white, grayscale. I'm just going to go and I'm going to push this up to, I don't know, around 25, 30, right? And you can see the difference, right? So it's looking a little dull versus a little bit brighter, right? So now it stands up against the vibrancy of the rest of the image, all right? Then we also have lightness here. This I'm not going to adjust on this one, but it's basically the overall lightness or darkness. So I'm going to reset that one. And I'm going to apply this. Okay, excellent. So those are some adjustments that you can make. There are certainly other ones that we are going to talk about, but those are really the two that I really recommend being your baseline ones that you adjust. Other ones that you might want to adjust as well if you're not happy with how your photo came out is like temperature and tint. So like this is like white balance correction, right? So I can like go cooler or warmer and stuff like that. So that is it for adjustments. Next video is going to be about adding the text.